Hello everybody, it's the 26th of May today, and I'm going to do a bit of work on some of these little apple trees that are actually grown as, well, they were taken from the base of a full-size apple tree in my garden. They were suckers, so they were dug up and torn free from the root and then allowed to grow on. So this is the trunk of the apple tree that the suckers have come from. And I move you in closer to the bottom. This tree had a lot of, or has a lot of bluebells that grow underneath it every year, which is a real pretty sight when we have the bluebells out and the apple blossom out at the same time, which of course you'll have to take my word for. But in amongst all that lot, there are a lot more apple suckers coming back up again. Here, for example, a couple of pieces coming up, another piece here, and some more pieces here, and these are simply the pieces that I tried to chop out of the ground, or did chop out of the ground, a few seasons back. Let's see if I can get the trowel in without kicking the camera. Yeah, these pieces will break off with a little piece of root on. If I chop that, put it in a pot, that'll likely grow. I have no idea even what this rootstock is, some sort of wild apple. This one's not got a huge girth to it, but I think it has an interesting shape, and I'm kind of growing it as a kind of broom style, and keeping it with that open goblet type shape that people recommend for apple trees. I have no idea what sort of a rootstock it is. The tree was in the garden when we moved in 31 years ago, somewhere around there. It never had a label on it then. It's an eating apple, but obviously it's grafted onto a rootstock to reduce the vigour, so could be anything really, but I'm not really expecting to get apples off it at any time soon, although at some point it would be nice to get some blossom. Let's move you in a little bit so you can see the root base, which isn't that great a thing to write home about. It's got a fair radial roots. Apologises for the bangs. It's the farmer has got a rook scarer, crow scarer in the field behind our house. So you won't see Cooper in any of these videos that I'm making at the moment because he's scared to come out in the garden because of all the banging. But at least he finds the courage to come out to do his business. I should be grateful for small mercies. So there you have it. There's the root base. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move you up slightly. This wire's been on there since last year. Been on all winter, so I'm going to remove that now. Hopefully the tree has set, and well, it seems to be holding quite nicely. What I don't want is the wires to cut in, and cause any undue scarring. As I say, at risk of repeating myself, these were just literally growing up out of the lawn at the base of the trunk. So we yanked out, torn off the existing roots and grown on. So I'm now going to give it a bit of pruning for shape, and I'm actually going to cut this new growth, probably 5 inches of growth or so, back relatively hard. This branch in the centre here doesn't look very healthy at all. Not quite sure what's up with that. I think I'm going to just remove it like so, and going to shorten this one back, this one, this one, this one. In many ways I'm pruning this like you would a summer prune of an apple tree, a full-size apple tree that is. I'm going to put a piece of wire on that branch, leave that one as is to just extend some more. This one here, I'm going to put a piece of wire on just to bring it out, and again let it extend. Doesn't need to be a big piece of wire. It's very soft, very supple. New growth will take quite quickly, and I don't want to have mega scars, so it's just the loosest of wrappings. And that's so effectively the wire is just looped around the trunk, and then it's got the vaguest of loops there, because I'm not trying to shape the branch particularly, I just want it going in that direction, and then it will be cut back. Let's give you a close-up of that. I believe I've said many times, I will never ever get a commendation for my wiring, but that is just doing what I want it to do, letting that elongate in this direction instead of in this direction, where it was almost rubbing into this branch. So there we have it. That's the setup for this tree for now. Quick 360 as it is now. Maybe in future years, if we ever get some blossom, it'll look better in a nicer pot, but for now this mica training pot is doing the job. Okay, so here's a couple of apple trees, again in a tatty old training pot. They were just put in there, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before. There is a playlist of these trees which you can go back and have a look at. And you can see with this where they were first torn out of the ground and put in there to develop a better root system. Again, I'm just going to be doing a little bit of trimmage. I'm going to cut that back quite hard. I have no idea what, if anything, this tree will be down the line. It's just growing on, and I just want it to sort of stay compact for now, and it can put me out some extra growth and new branches. That will give me perhaps something else to choose from. At the moment, very long, very boring, very straight. Could be a windswept tree perhaps. This one's very straight and again very boring, but with some more branches, some more movement may be formed, and that might inform me of their next steps. Let me know what you think, or am I right just to leave them to grow on? Maybe you can see something in them that I can't at the moment. So the same dealing with this apple. Again, it's kind of a leaning form, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a hard chop back. One of these days we'll get a better pot for it to go into. So here's the final one in this group, and this I think is kind of reminiscent to an old orchard tree that's been around for years and years. It's been bashed and battered and fallen over but refused to give up. Perhaps it's still cropping, and that's why the orchard keeper, is that what they call them? I don't know. Has decided not to remove them, and you quite often see them in old orchards, old apple trees. They do tend to fall over and keep growing, so that's what I'm trying to achieve with this one. I'm going to cut it back first and then remove some of the wiring that's on there. Cut that back. Now, I've deliberately wired this branch back into the centre, which again breaks some of the rules of bonsai, but is what I see in some of these old orchards. We've got quite a number around us, Somerset being cider country, proper old cider, where you can buy your scrumpy on the side of the road in places. So yeah, you indeed see them looking similar-ish to this. You can never make them look exact. It's more of a homage, I guess. So there we have it. There's a branch in back there. I'm just going to remove it. In complete contrast to what I just said, because it's growing across. But it's growing across in an area where it would be naturally shaded out, whereas this one is growing across into an area where the tree would have found new light as it fell. Again, off with the wires, and as I always do, when I can, I like to remove the wires rather than cut them off, as many of the people and books recommend that you cut the wire off, whereas I prefer to reuse the wire where I can, and not just because I'm a Scrooge, but because it's always seemed the right thing to do. I was raised by parents who were raised under rationing, and so a kind of make do and mend mentality was infused in them from childhood, and they passed it along to me. So the conspiracy theorist in me, and I'm not a big one for conspiracy theorists, but would say that the people who make the rules that tell you should cut the wire off are also quite often the people selling you the books and running the companies that want to sell you a new reel of wire. I've got no evidence for that. I'm probably talking out of my hat just because something sounds true doesn't necessarily make it so, as we all know. Feel free to tell me I'm talking out of my hat in the comments below. Okay, I can see I've got a dead stub now that I've removed that piece of wire in the back there. I'll just get rid of that. The tree seems to have held its shape quite nicely. This branch is far too long and far too straight, so we'll get rid of that. And I think I'm going to shorten that piece, like so. Okay, that's better. Okay, so a quick 360 of my little cider apple. I have no idea if this is a cider apple. As they say, it was the rootstock that the apple tree in the garden was grafted onto many years ago, a dwarfing rootstock of some kind, because the apple tree is only about 15 feet high now, but no idea, as I say, what it was. I'm hoping that these trees will flower, but we never know. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you all watching, so I'm not talking to myself. Do all the YouTube things, the liking, the subscribing, the commenting below, and most of all, please look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.